I am smiling because I'm about to do the world's first review of the all-new MoFi SourcePoint 10 speaker, designed by Andrew Jones. Yes, that Andrew Jones. And not only that, he was here in the house, here in Brooklyn, to do an unboxing video, to set them up, and also do a long interview about how the design came together. It was a lot of fun. Hanging out with Andrew is one of the best perks of my job. But anyway, he was really excited because he got to do something at MoFi that he's never done before, and that is to design a 10-inch concentric driver. Now, he's known for concentrics. He's done them for TAD and for ELAC and Pioneer. But this is a clean sheet of paper. This is like starting all over again to design that large a concentric. And he relished every minute of it. He really, really did. So he tells me. Now the thing is, he doesn't use off-the-shelf parts. This is a from-the-ground-up driver design. Now I'll give you the complete specs, but I'll run down some of the particulars. So it's a 10-inch paper cone with a 1 1/4-inch silk dome tweeter. The speaker itself is I would classify it as a large bookshelf speaker. And by the way, you can use it in its vertical orientation or lay it down horizontally. And I listen to it both ways, and I have a lot to talk about regarding that. But the construction of the cabinet is unusually robust. The sides, the back are 1-inch thick medium density fiberboard, and the front baffle, that faceted front baffle, is 2 inches thick. Of course, it's braced. There's a picture of the interior of the speaker. The crossover is, again, all new. And remember, when Andrew designs a speaker, he designs the whole thing. The cabinet, the driver, the crossover, it's all Andrew. He's very, very much a hands-on type of designer. And around back, you'll see that there's 2 base ports, and in the interview, Andrew explains why he uses 2 ports as opposed to 1 larger port. Really nice quality binding posts. Now, my samples were finished in real walnut veneer, and they're really gorgeous. But you can also have it in black ash. The price, by the way, is $3,699 a pair. Oh, I have to talk about this. Mrs. Audiophiliac, who rarely comments on the sound of anything I review, she said, and this is an exact quote, that the imaging was astonishing. And I agree completely. The imaging is so right on, so precise. You hear each instrument and each vocalist within the soundstage and hear basically around them. Really superb imaging coming out of this speaker. Now the bass, also, I'm going to give you a lot of details up front, but continue. The bass goes down deep. I was getting 40 hertz bass out of this speaker. Now, unfortunately, I have to mention this up front, that the stands you see that are used with the speakers, those are solid steel stands. That's the name of the company. The actual dedicated stands for the speaker are not yet available, not available as I was doing the review. And I think the solid steel stand is gorgeous construction, but it looks a little weird, too small for this speaker. So don't jump on that, because that's not the stand that you're going to buy with this speaker. As for the review system, yeah, it was my reference system, PassLabs XP30 preamplifier, PassLabs XA25 power amplifier, First Watt F7 power amplifier, and one of my new favorites, the Linear Tube Audio Z40 Plus tube amplifier. The DAC, which I used throughout this review, was the Mola Mola Tambaki. The CD transport was a Jay's Audio CD transport, and a Node 2i for streaming. Turntable was also my new reference, the Technics SL1200G, with one of my favorite cartridges that I've reviewed recently, the EMT TSD MRB moving coil cartridge. So that sort of rounds out the rest of the system. But as I said, this speaker, you can listen to it set up vertically, like, let's say, a normal speaker. But when you lay it down on its side, to me it sounds a little richer in its bounce, because the driver winds up being a little closer to the floor when it's laying down. Maybe that's why. But in any case, it's certainly approved and recommended by Andrew to try it both ways, vertical and horizontal. And I actually think it looks better on its horizontal orientation. The recording that I first used to evaluate mid-range was this one by Dominique. And on some tracks, she's practically alone. It's a cappella, and sometimes she's doubling and tripling her voice. But the quality of her voice was very much in the she is right there category. It's not warm, not bright, but I would say that she sounded usually forward in the soundstage, which is probably the way the record is mixed. But it was the immediacy of the vocal that just reached out and touched me. So this Bruce Katz album, which I think I referred to in another video recently, it's kind of a funk jazz workout. It's a lot of fun, very high energy, and it was produced by Joe Harley for AudioQuest, the cable company that used to make recordings. And they gave Joe free rein to just go at it and make great sounding recordings. And this one is way up there. And I've neglected it too long, so I'm going to push it a lot lately. You can stream it where you stream music. But anyway, phenomenal recording, very dynamic, great top end, beautiful. The cymbals, percussion, it was just airy, and everything about it was right on the money. And I wanted to play it louder, so I did. And I played it louder, and it kept getting better. But here's the thing. The SourcePoint 10 is one of those speakers, I'm happy to say, that can play very quiet levels and you feel satisfied. You don't need to turn it up to get the excitement of the music. It's there at any level. John Hassel's recording Seeing Through Sound. Yeah, that's an aptly titled album because you do. It's all about textures and low bass rumblings and just things going on in the soundstage, in the air. You can almost see the sound of this John Hassel recording. And again, because as Mrs. Audiophiliac pointed out, the SourcePoint 10 imaging is extraordinary. Extraordinary, it's not that it's one of those that creates a giant soundstage. It doesn't do that. The soundstage is very, let's say, composed and very clear. And that's what I think that sense of focus that you hear around instruments or sound is so, just pulls you in. You want to keep listening more and more and listen for that. And in the case of this album, seeing through the sound. I used the past electronics for most of my listening time with this speaker. But alternatively, I did bring in the Linear Tube Audio Z40 Plus tube amplifier. It's an integrated amplifier. And yes, it did round the sound. It did add some more body to each player and vocalist within the soundstage. It did flesh out the sound nicely. I enjoyed that alternative view of what this speaker could do. But I wanted to go back, and that's why I spent most of the time with the past, because I felt that the past stuff was more neutral in its presentation, more like potentially what you would hear. But I did want to use some tubes just to see what tubes would do. And yes, it changes the sound in ways that makes it, yes, I would say more beautiful, because that's what tubes can do. The next recording I played was Miles Davis, Big Fun. And this is late period Miles. It's a funk jazz record. It's kind of outtakes of things that didn't wind up on other records as far as I remember. But anyway, the bass. It's not just that the bass went deep and was gutsy. It was something about the leading edge of the bass, the resolution of the upper part of the bass, right? That you could almost feel it and touch it, the textures, the palpability of the bass, and just how pushy it was, that like it pushed through the drivers. Really fantastic, really, really nice. And that led to this recording from the prog rock German group Can, live in Brighton, 1975. This is a phenomenal recording. Now, Can is a prog rock group, but they seem to be doing a lot of improvisations and stuff, so it's a journey to listen to each song on this record. But the soundstage on this record is, wow, it's deep and it's big, and you hear the concert hall. There's a lot of space in the recording. And again, the SourcePoint 10 does that sort of stuff so well. Now, I had to do a comparison. I had to do a comparison with my new reference speaker, the PureAudioProject Duet 15. Now, it's an open baffle speaker. Sound coming out of the back and coming out of the front. It is very, very different sounding than a point source speaker. So where the SourcePoint 10 is precise and focused and pinpoint, the PureAudioProject just does scale. So in terms of the imaging is bigger, wider, deeper, taller. Yes, the PureAudioProject projects up, so it's a wall of sound. Returning to the SourcePoint 10, it was much more concise, but a lot smaller soundstage. And the bass coming out of the PureAudioProject, because it is a 15-inch woofer, sounds bigger and weightier and just more voluptuous, certainly more voluptuous than the SourcePoint 10. Now the SourcePoint 10, to counter, is clearer, more precise, had much better top-end clarity and extension, and the PureAudioProject sounds softer in the top end. Yes, so they're doing different things. And of course, the PureAudioProject is a more expensive speaker. It is $6,500 a pair, and this one, the SourcePoint 10, if you forgot, is $3,699 a pair. All right, are you ready? You ready for this? Okay, it's time for, so Steve, what do you really think of the MoFi SourcePoint 10? Well, I'm excited by the sound of this speaker. It's such a, well, kind of a clean break from all the designs he did for ELAC, which were fatter, warmer, softer, well, less transparent than what you're getting out of this speaker. This speaker is more vivid and alive and exciting. And again, the sound staging is extraordinary. The bass oomph and impact and clarity of the bottom end is, again, way up there. This is a stand mount speaker. It's not tiny, but it ain't gigantic. Does it sound like a full-size speaker? Well, I wouldn't go that far. But the bass that's there is the kind of bass that you feel, and it engages you. So it's really good. Now, I would say the treble, objectively speaking, is on the bright side. It's a bit much, but some of that has a lot to do with the kind of recordings you're listening to. It's not going to be forgiving of harsh or bright or over-compressed music, because you're just going to hear how nasty it is. So if that's the kind of music you love and enjoy, this probably isn't the right speaker for you. The better the recording, the cleaner the recording, the more this speaker shines. But it is just not very tolerant of bright or edgy recordings. So that's what we got here. Andrew Jones has done it again. I'm so glad he's back after his hiatus. And I can't wait to see what comes next, because that's the thing. This is just one model. It's not a line of speakers. It's not the SourcePoint line. There's a little one and a bigger one. No, this is it for now. But I'm sure there will be lots more coming down the pike. And with that out of the way, yes, it is now time for the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. This one comes from Stephen. He lives in North Carolina. He is 32 years old. He's been a music lover all his life and for many years a musician. Stephen listens to CDs 90% of the time, so he has a Cambridge 851C CD player. For analog, a Kenwood KD3070 turntable he inherited from his dad, a DIY turntable stand, Audio Engine B1 Bluetooth receiver. Phono preamp is a Cambridge Alva Solo. There's a Schiit Locus EQ, Schiit preamp, 2 Schiit Vidars driving his Zoo Dirty Weekend speakers, Mark II, and they are on DIY isolation stands. Headphones are being driven by a Schiit Valhalla 2 driving many pairs of Beyerdynamics. Cables, it's a mixed bag of AudioQuest, Mogami, and Canary. That's it. Thanks, Stephen. All right, we are back. My name is Steve Guttenberg, and it's true. I am the Audiophiliac, and if you enjoy these types of reviews and my interviews and the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day segments and the rants that I do and the music suggestions that I'm making, please consider joining my Patreon. You can do so for just a few dollars a month, up to $50 and now $100 a month, and at the higher tiers, you and I will have a conversation every month at the beginning of the month. And I so enjoy these conversations. I really, really do. It's so nice to know who you are. It's not just me talking to a camera. There are real people out there, and I get to talk to you. And of course, if you ever see me on the street, and this has been happening more lately, please stop by and say hello if I'm not engaged in something that looks intense or something, which sometimes happens. What else? My podcast is back. I'm doing podcast episodes, which are basically the video shows without the video, with just the sound stripped out, and I'm posting those as podcasts. So you can listen to those while you're driving or cooking or whatever. And you can hear them on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, Google, all the usual suspects. That's just started up recently. And I think that's it. My work here is at last complete. Oh, if you like the show, please hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel if you have yet to do so. Anyway, that's all I got. I think that should be enough. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I really, really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.